In today's video, I'm going to show you how I make that sweet potato oat crust pizza. We're going to be making 2 of them today. Yeah, this pizza's nice. I originally found it on So Vegan's Facebook page. They had a little recipe video. Yeah, the first time we made the pizza, we changed the recipe a bit and used farina instead of oat flour. The reason why we like this pizza is that it's a healthier alternative than using just wheat flour to make a pizza crust, and it's easier. You just have to have sweet potatoes, you cook them or steam them, and then you just mash it together with some oats, with some oat flour. So we really like this recipe because it's quick, easy, healthy. We love sweet potatoes, we like oats. And this recipe is also gluten-free if you have a gluten intolerance. Yeah, I know it can be confusing or tricky when you're using oats in a recipe because oats themselves are gluten-free, but depending on where the oats are processed, if they're processed in a facility that also processes wheat, barley, or rye, they can be contaminated. So if you have a severe gluten allergy, then obviously make sure the oats you purchase are completely gluten-free. But for us, we don't have gluten intolerances. I just like to have some gluten-free foods once in a while, so yeah, this is a good recipe for that. First thing you want to do is preheat the oven to 200. So these are the pans we're going to be using for our pizza, and I'm going to line them with parchment paper. Don't use wax paper, that's completely different. You want to get parchment paper for baking. And you can reuse parchment paper too a few times, just if it gets too dark, it'll start to crumble, so discard it. But we use this a couple times to make chips, and it's still fine. And I'll line this one with parchment paper just now. So since we're making 2 pizzas, we have a kilo of sweet potatoes here. Kuba just peeled them and cut them up fairly small, and then he's steaming them in the microwave for 10 minutes with a wet paper towel draped over them. So these are the ones that have been steamed, and then he's gonna steam these in waves in the microwave. You just do like a thin layer on the plate, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. For 2 pizzas, you want a kilo of sweet potatoes. So just for 10 minutes. Oh, the wet paper towel. Alright, so once all the sweet potatoes are done, just mash them up or put them in a food processor. This is how we do it since we don't have a food processor. This will be the base of the pizza. Just plain tomato paste, and then I think I'll put some oregano on there as well. Today we're topping our pizza with peppers, red onion, canned peas, and mushrooms. Kuba's just cutting these up nice and small. So in our recipe, we're changing it from the original a little bit. We're going to be using oat flour. It's just ground up oats. So if you have a food processor, you can make that yourself, but we don't have one of those, so we just bought some. We're also going to be using oat flakes, which will add a nice texture. And then an alternative, if you don't have oat flour, last time we used farina, it worked well. And I think cornmeal would work nicely too if you have that. Alright, so we're going to be using 2 cups of oat flour since we're making 2 pizzas. This is about a cup. And again, this is just ground up oats. So you can do that yourself if you like. And if you don't have enough oat flour, like if we ran out of some, we actually have some left over, we would have just topped it off with this farina or cornmeal. And we also need 2 cups of oat flakes. And obviously if you're just making 1 pizza, just have the recipe. So just make, 500 grams of sweet potatoes, 1 cup of oat flour, and 1 cup of oats. So now I'm just gonna mix in the oat flour and the oats into this. Mix it well and then divide it and then spread it out on these 2 pans. I'm just gonna add a little bit at a time because I think it'll be easier to mix. It'd also be easier if we had a bigger bowl. It's starting to stick together nicely, and it feels like a dough. With this, you just want to flatten it. You can wet your hands too, because it'll make it easier. You want to flatten it till it's about like a ½ centimeter thick. And if you do the crust a little thicker, it's not a problem. You might have to bake it for longer. All right, these are ready for the oven. I'm gonna bake these at 200 for 15 to 20 minutes just to give them a good, just to bake them a bit before we top them. These are baking for 15 minutes, and they're not cooked all the way through, but they're cooked just enough to where we can start topping them. Tomato paste is a good pizza base. You can use like pizza sauce, marinara sauce, pesto. And I really like this because you can't like over bake it. It just won't, like it's not gonna dry out. Oregano. This is peanut butter powder. And pizza's awesome because you really can't mess it up.
Yeah, you just put everything
it's
you
like,
want on the crust then.
Yeah. Crust, sauce, toppings. Bake until it's done. I don't know if I've ever seen peas on pizza, but it's a good idea.
I don't think I did, but my thinking was peas are good. Pizza is good, so
yeah,
there's a good chance that both of them together will be good too.
Peas, pizza, why not? Yeah, and the more toppings you put on the pizza, the longer it'll take to bake. And if you use like vegan cheese, that's gonna take a while to melt as well. And the reason why we don't use vegan cheese is that it's straight fat. I don't want to eat that much fat and oil, so I'd rather just eat veggies. Yeah, because then it's like, when you add vegan cheese, you're turning this into a high carb, high fat meal, which isn't good. So, but whatever floats your boat. And so now we're just gonna bake these until they look done. So that can be 20, 25 minutes until the toppings are cooked through. Oh, it smells good already. Okay, since this doesn't fit, please don't fall on the other pizza. Okay. Looks fine. You can't undercook it or I mean, you can overcook it if you burn the veggies, but cook them until they're done. And that's it. Yeah, this is roundish.
This is really good.
Yum. You don't even notice it's sweet potato.
No.
So good. This recipe is really good and it's easy to make. It's oil-free, low-fat, yeah, just really tasty, and it's gluten-free too. So if you try this recipe, let me know how you like it in the comments down below, and let me know what are your favorite toppings to put on a pizza. We tried peas for the first time and it was pretty good. If you have any suggestions for other recipe videos you'd like to see, leave that in the comment below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you Wednesday, if not sooner.